Now, let's talk about this OTF Boona situation, right? So I'm talking about this guy right here. Now, OTF Boona is being accused of taking the guy's life in the most gruesome way you could think possible, man. OTF Boona, you might have remembered him from a couple years ago when he was arrested for a shooting that took place in a parking lot where he was accused of being the guy who shot up a parking lot and hit a whole bunch of different innocent bystanders of all ages, right? And it was a really, really widespread case throughout Georgia. Somehow he beat that charge, you know what I mean? Although, this is a twist that a lot of people don't talk about when I see this is, remember the reports that came out when OTF Boona got arrested and was charged initially? They started going through the evidence and things, and his phone and ID were found at the scene, I believe. So there were reports of his phone and ID being found at the scene.
Bruh.
A lot of the information in his phone, people said they used that to put together the case against the people, the old Block 6, the people who were tried and convicted in the murder case of FBG Duck. So yes, this stuff goes deep, man, and it's connected. It's all connected. So this is a wild one. So when you see this situation that's going on with OTF Boona, it has you to think like, man, they probably been on his heels for a while. And what was dude really into? You know what I'm saying?
Bruh.
Because there's only a couple of things I could think about outside of, trying to make it in the rap game or anything like that, that I would want headlines or that I'd be associated with, knowing the spotlight that's on anybody that was associated with Lil Durk or anybody that was associated with OTF. I mean, at this point, you might as well go straight leg, man. You might as well go or square in the system, man, because they're obviously going to be looking at you. Lil Durk has a case hanging over his head, and I'm not sure if he's going to beat it. There's rumors every week about somebody news snitching. You don't know what's going on in that situation because they're very tight-lipped on the sources that they have in this Lil Durk investigation, right? So all we know is they've got a lot of information. I think the last report was like over 20,000 files, so many gigs in the hard drive. So at that point, you're connected to Lil Durk. You've had a prior case. What would make you jump out the window and do something crazy? But crazy is one thing. All right, let's say you get into it with somebody, back and forth, whatever, and then he says something, you say something, y'all get to fighting, maybe a shootout breaks out. That's a little different. This situation was totally different. This is a legit hit that was being carried out and that OTF Boona is accused of. The stuff is dang near scary. I almost don't want to talk about it, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of implications about who he's working for, who he carried out the killing for, if he really did it, you know what I'm saying, allegedly. It's a lot going on with this situation, but man, let's get to this part, man. Let's get to this right here, man. I want to play a series of news stories that kind of talk about what's going on before I get into a full-on report, all right?
Or if it even happened there. Gunshot wound. It's unclear when the shooting happened or if it even happened there. Police say it doesn't appear to have anything to do with the church.
Still an active investigation, and we do believe it to be an isolated case at this time.
Gwinnett County Police had a number of investigators on scene, including detectives and crime scene techs. They gathered evidence and worked to figure out what happened. Neighbors hope police can solve the case.
I always hear it's a random event, but,
All right, to fill you guys in a little bit on some of the details. So there was a body found at a church about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago going on now, right? There was a body found behind the church, and the church people, they found the body and they immediately called the authorities like most people would, right? Very odd situation. Well, they go to digging and they find out it's this guy by the name of Oscar. You know what I mean? Now, Oscar ended up being the person who was the victim. His family identified the body or whatnot, and not much had come from it at all. You know what I mean? It just seemed like a random situation, man. The guy's name was Oscar Cruz, but he went by OZ or Oz. A lot of people called him Oz, right? So somebody had kidnapped him, shot him multiple times, and dumped him off at the back of a church. So, I mean,
Bruh.
Anybody who knows me and comes on this channel, we break down a lot of these crime situations with these rappers, and we break down a lot of the stories, the back history, the music involved, and things like that. But sometimes things are just you're screaming to get caught. You know, throwing a body at the back of a church, they're going to find that body, bro. They've got groundkeepers crew. They got people maintain churches, bro. Like, what in the world kind of getaway plan was this? To throw his body in the back of a church?
Bruh.
I don't think that was being discreet. You're definitely not sending any type of message. All you saying is, yo, I'm trying to get caught. Let me get caught. Not saying that he should not, you know, innocent until proven guilty, but not saying that you shouldn't get caught for doing something this crazy. You know, I don't want to make it seem like I'm blaming the victim in this situation, but that just adds a little context to this story before we show the next news clip.
The people that are impacted by it, it's not random. It's their, it's their life, and this is our community. So we want to make sure everything can get back to the safe place that we're accustomed.
And you notice that church is well manicured lawn and everything, right? So when he was dumping that body off in that church, those things stick out, man. The shrubs and the hedges being manicured, like everything being cut up. Pause on that for some reason. Yo, everything being well manicured on the lawn, everything around there just looking nice. You know what I mean? And once again, this is in Gwinnett County. So Gwinnett County is one of the Atlanta counties. So there's some counties outside of Atlanta that aren't in direct Atlanta, that aren't Fulton County, that most people attribute to Atlanta, right? So you got Gwinnett County and all sorts of other counties, right? Now, Gwinnett County was traditionally the suburbs. I'm talking about the suburbs of suburbs, where your doctors, you know, your professionals who work in the city live. Like a lot of your professional class people live in Gwinnett County traditionally. You know, I've been told a couple of times recently that there's been an uptick in crime in Gwinnett. I don't know if that's because of changing dynamics in Atlanta, but the dynamics in Atlanta have constantly, always overwhelmingly been black, you know what I mean? Or been black, you know, black Americans or whatnot, right? So with this situation, you see that it's in Gwinnett. You see this very nice church. The lawn is all well taken care of. What in your rabbit mind would make you say, you know what? This is where we dumping the body off, bruh, right here. I'm like, man, they about to find this in about 3 hours when the church is about to open up, bruh.
Bruh.
There ain't no way. You're not getting away with it, bruh. Not in no suburb and nothing that obvious. And obviously they found the body immediately.
As of right now, there is no word of any suspect so far. Gwinnett County Police have not identified the victim. If you know anything, you're asked to...
Yo, shout out to the chat. I see y'all, man. I see y'all. All right, man. So let's get to the next news story. So in there, they basically talk about the church being all shocked, the people who live by the church being shocked at the fact that there was a body outside the church, man. It's pretty crazy. You know what I mean?
Fingered has been following this story since it broke and joins us now with the latest information. Tyler?
Yeah, Russ, good evening to you. This church's parking lot turned into a crime scene for hours this morning after finding a man dead. Now investigators are trying to figure out what happened. Cannon United Methodist Church on Webb Gin House Road is supposed to be a place of peace and prayer. But Tuesday morning, a disturbing discovery. A man was found dead outside with few clues and many questions.
That was the last place I would think you would see something like that.
This guy, I guess he wanted to be interviewed by the news, man, because it's the same guy.
Matt Hale lives near the church and says it was surprising the victim was found on its property.
Do like a 4-mile circuit, kind of not too far from there, so I'm walking right by there.
And it seems like a nice neighborhood, too. So it wasn't going to take him long before somebody noticed a dead body, man, like hanging out at the back of the church.
Every day, so to, check online and see that something like that's happened was kind of shocking.
Gwinnett County Police say a passerby noticed the victim in the parking lot at around 6 a.m. and called 911. Officers rushed to the scene and found a Hispanic man believed to be in his 20s dead from a single gunshot wound.
I need those files.
All right, man. So that's the news story, right? So let's get to the actual story of what went on and how OTF Boona got locked up or got arrested in this situation, where they said he was the person that took that man who was found in the back of that church's life, man. Crazy situation, man. Now, there's a whole bunch of implications about drug deals and things like that, but for the most part, I haven't seen anything founded. I've just seen a bunch of rumors or whatnot floating around, right? So this is the news story that kicked off at the same time that the body was found, and his family came forward and said, yes, we know whose body that is. This is the person is our family member, right? So it says Gwinnett County in a Snellville church parking lot as 28-year-old Oscar Alexis Cruz from Lawrenceville. So also a suburb of Atlanta, pretty much, right? Now what's happening? Authorities have released the victim's name after notifying his next of kin, confirming Cruz was a man discovered with a fatal gunshot wound early Monday morning. The shooting took place in the parking lot of Canyon Unified Methodist Church near the 2400 block of Webb Gin House Road. Now, them saying that the shooting took place there lets me know that they found some shell casings on the scene. You know what I mean? So already they had good leads. They had the body, and then they had shell cases on the scene. Now, them putting this together and putting it on OTF Boona is interesting, right? Now, officers responded to a person down call around 6 a.m. and found Cruz dead at the scene. According to Gwinnett County Police Department's initial report, homicide detectives are still canvassing the area, and the crime scene unit continues to collect evidence, but no information on suspects or motives has been shared yet. So this shooting took place at around 6 a.m. So you don't know how long, because they're saying that Oscar Cruz, Mr. Cruz, the man who lost his life, RIP, was kidnapped. That's like the big part of the story, that he was taken by OTF Boona and was brought to the church to argue and shoot him. I don't know. Something about this sounds crazy, man. Now, homicides like this contribute to an uptick in gun-related deaths or whatnot, and that's just basically like a message out to the public. But let's actually look at what's being reported out there on a couple of these websites, man. So check this out. So OTF Boona, Lil Durk affiliate, arrested for brutal Georgia murder.
Bruh.
I had to get my sound effect right on that one, man. All right, so OTF Boona, arrest for a brutal murder, has sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community, raising questions about violence and loyalty in the world of Chicago rap. Michael L. Golden, also known as OTF Boona, was taken into custody on August 2nd, 2025 in Gwinnett County, Georgia, facing charges of murder, kidnapping, home invasion, and aggravated assault, man. So they threw the gambit at him. So they're basically saying that he kidnapped dude, shot him, and you know, aggravated assault, it always goes with the murder case, right? With the murder charge. Now, authorities allege that Buuna kidnapped Oscar or Oz Cruz from his Lawrenceville home, bound his hands with duct tape, and shot him 17 times, leaving his body in front of a church in Snellville. The grim discovery was made at 6 a.m. on July 23rd, 2025. Now, that's crazy, man. So they're saying that he duct taped the guy's hands and shot him 17 times? Like, what was the point in shooting him 17 times unless you're trying to send a message? Because I'm sure after the first, second, third shot, message received to the person that you're trying to kill, right? So that goes into a lot of these theories, bruh. That OTF Boona might have been doing this as a hit. They're saying that this might have been a paid hit that he was carrying out, and he just did it sloppily. You know what I mean? And I'm not praising the shooter in this in any way. I'm not trying to make light of the situation either. I'm just saying that that's the details that we have so far. Because he's been in jail. What does it say? He's been in jail since early August. So this happened several weeks ago, and the shooting took place almost a month ago now, if not a little bit over a month, right? So the grim discovery of the guy's body was made at 6 a.m. on July 23rd, 2025. So the same morning that the shooting took place, they found the body after a shooting had been, I guess, called in at 6 a.m., according to news reports, right? Now, Buuna, a close associate of rapper Lil Durk and a member of OTF, Only the Family Collective, has been a visible figure in the group's inner circle, often described as the muscle for Durk. He gained attention earlier this year for stepping in when a fan approached the rapper at a festival. Buuna also appeared on OTF's compilation album, Loyal Bros, released in March 2025, showcasing his ties to the Chicago rap scene. Now, what's crazy about this, that Only Bros, album, I think besides Mimo 600, nobody else in there is really doing good. Oh, except for, he's the only one who made it out of that situation unscathed. And I almost said, what's my guy? Baldhead guy, man. He ended it out unscathed because he really doesn't have any charges. And even when he got shot, he was the victim. You know what I mean? Duty low. There he goes. Duty low, man. He ended up making it out of the Loyal Bros situation because if it was feeling like that project was cursed. And at the time, when Loyal Bros dropped, they had so much heat behind them, man. Lil Durk and them cats had so much heat behind them. It was ridiculous. It was like everybody who was on that project, their name just went viral. It was a crazy situation, man. Now, the story also says this. This isn't Boona's first brush with the law. In 2021, he was arrested for his alleged role in a shooting at Atlanta's Cumberland Mall where 4 people, including a 6-year-old, were injured. Charged with aggravated assault with intent to murder, Buuna reportedly dropped his phone at the scene, which helped police link him to the crime. Now, this is the crazy part about that. That same phone is allegedly had text messages in it and had information in it that led to the arrest of the O Block 6, who were the people who got caught for, ended up getting tried, convicted for the shooting death of FBG Duct. Because they basically left a trail of text messages and calls and things like that. Now, I never saw that come out in court and put it on OTF Boona, but a lot of the stuff that they said during the O Block case, it kind of pointed back to that situation and that rumor about his phone linking everybody to that murder. You know what I mean? Now, he was on parole for that case and nearing the end of his term when this latest arrest occurred. So OTF Boona is currently on parole when he allegedly carried out this hit. This is basically a hit because look at this, bro. They're saying he shot the guy 17 times, duct taped his hands. Why would you duct tape somebody's hands if your intention is to shoot him? Most people shoot somebody and leave them there where they shot him. Like, boom, you're in a violent situation, boom, you shoot at them. You might not even know that they passed away or they got hit. You're just shooting and trying to get out of there or whatever, man. That's most shooting situations with regular people, man. What makes me think this might have been a hit is because he shot him 17 times, bro. 17 times and duct taped his hands. It sounds like he was trying to get some information out of him. Like, hey, man, where's the whatever? Where's it at? Now, I don't know what Oscar Cruz was into, Oz Cruz or whatever. I don't know what his life was about. So I don't want to put it in on him like he's up to something he shouldn't be up to. But in a situation where somebody's hands are duct tied and they shot 17 times, I don't know, bruh. It sounds like something is more to this story than, just a crazy shooting. We see plenty of crazy shootings, especially in hip hop and especially in drill rap. It ain't never involving no duct tape and 17 shots to the same person's body. I seen people talk about KTS Dre being shot up, but he was walking out of jail. You know what I'm saying? And they opened up with plenty of different switches and stuff like that. This is a person who was shot person on person, like in each other's company, and it was 17 times, like up close and personal. With duct tape on his hands, yeah, there's a lot more to this story. So we're going to be hearing a lot more of what's going on with OTF Boona. And like I said, man, when it comes to this story, there's already a lot of rumors out there. There's a lot of people already speculating that OTF Boona was really risking being, because his parole was almost up, risking, his parole and everything, and him being a free man off paperwork and everything to carry out this hit because it was a hit, because it was a paid hit, because there was something else that was going on behind the scenes. And all the evidence that you see there leads me to believe that a lot of that is founded. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't going to say no more than that because this is crazy.
Bruh.
I will say more when more comes out in court paperwork and documents like that. But some of the rumors seem to be right, man, because why in the world was dude's hands duct tape, excuse me. Especially when it's black cats who are shooting at each other, it's usually a spur of the moment, quick situation where they beefing with each other. It ain't never all this extra, man, or nothing kind of crazy. You know what I mean? As much as people try to paint King Von as a serial killer and all that, you never seen him duct taping nobody or nothing crazy like that, bruh. My bad, not funny. But y'all get what I'm saying, man. So I don't know, man. There's a lot more to this story, and we're going to be watching with this OTF Boona situation, right?